Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Neelambujashyamalako-malangam Sita Samarupitavamabhagam Parno Mahasayakacharuchapam Namami Ramam Raghuvamshanatham Atulita baladhamam hemashailaabhadeham Danujavana krishanum jnaninaamagraganyam Sakala guna nidhanam vanaranamadhisham Raghupati priya bhaktam vatajatam namami. We have entered into Aranyakanda in our reading of the Shri Ramcharitmanas. And we see that Tulasidasa begins this kanda with salutations, prostrations to Bhagavan Shiva first, and then to Śrī Rāma. Bhagavan Shiva being the Guru, the one from whom all knowledge comes, and also being himself a devotee of Śrī Rāma, having devotion to him, having devotion to Bhagavan Shiva, it is said, is something that will please Śrī Rāma immensely. So those who love Śrī Rāma will love Bhagavan Shiva, and those who love Lord Shiva will love Śrī Rāma. So salutations are offered to both. And then there is this Soratha in which Bhagavan Shiva is telling Parvati ji that, O Uma, Śrī Rama's gunas, his virtues are good. They are hidden. They are not clearly known. And because of that, when anyone hears this story, it's not necessary that everyone will have the same reaction or response and everyone will have the same gain. Those who are wise and who are able to understand the story properly, they will gain greater detachment from this world. And those who are without proper viveka, who are deluded, they will become even more deluded, and they are turned away from Bhagavan. They have no interest in dharma. And this we see in the story which this Aranyakanda begins with itself. Now this story is very short. It's told by Tulasidasa just in these chopais in between these first two dohas. But one is, it's a commentary on this Soratha that has come before, right? So just to explain how foolish people get deluded, even though whatever Bhagavan is doing is beyond, it's not really something for us to question. Right? If we have faith, then we'll understand. So this story is demonstrating how those who don't have faith and those who don't have this pure mind, they can get deluded. But also it's helping us to understand the importance of surrender, right? The importance of what we call Sharanagati. And in this entire Ramcharitmanas, there are various different instances of how this surrender takes place differently. So you have the surrender of Hanumanji as the sort of perfect example. You have the surrender of Vibhishana, the surrender of Sugriva. All of these people in their own ways, all these devotees in their own ways are surrendering to Bhagavan. And this is, in bhakti, a fundamental concept, and actually a fundamental, whether you want to call it a virtue or something that's done, the devotee surrendering to Bhagavan. It is so important in all of our lives. It is so important for all of us to be able to understand why surrender is important, how surrender can be done, what surrender really means. And so here we have one instance of where a particular type of surrender takes place. So let us see, after the Suratha, those first 4 chopais, we will read. Puranara bharata priti mein gaai, mati anurupa anupa suhai, ab prabhu charita sunahu ati pavan, करत जेबन सुर नर मुनि भावन, एक बार चुनि कुसुम सुहाय, निज कर भूषण राम बनाए, सीतहि पहिराए प्रभु सादर, बैठे फटिक शिला पर सुंदर, सुरपति सुत धरि पायस बेशा, 60 चाहत रघुपति बल देखा, जिमि पिपीलिका सागर धाहा, महामंदमति पावन चाहा, सीता चरण चोचहति भागा, मूढ़ मंदमति कारण कागा, चला रुधिर रघुनायक जाना, सीक धनुष सायक संधाना, अति कृपाल रघुनायक, सदा दीन पर नेह, तासन आई कीन्ह चलू, रख अवगुण गेह, Dasana I keen achara. So now Tulasidas himself is sort of introducing what's coming next. He says, Pura nara bharata priti mein gai. I have sung, literally. I have described the love, the priti of Pura, Nara, means all the people of Ayodhya, and of Bharata, Mati Anurupa Anupa Suhai. According to my own understanding, I have described their love, their affection, which is Anupa, which is incomparable, and which is Suhai, which is very lovely. And this we saw at length in Ayodhya, right? In the description of how they were all feeling when Bhagavan departed, how they traveled to Chitrakuta, how they stayed there, their mindset, what they were thinking at that time, so beautifully was described by Tulasidas. So he says now, Abba Prabhu Charita Sunahu Ati Pavana. Now I will tell, or now listen to the story of the Lord, of Prabhu, which is extremely purifying. And he says, Karata Jebana Sura Nara Muni Bhavana. Now, this story that is taking place is bringing great joy to all the people of the forest. Right? So in Ayodhya Kanda, Bhagavan is bringing great joy to all the people of the city. Now they have all returned to their homes. Now Bhagavan is bringing great joy to everyone in the forest. To all the devatas, to all the men who live there, it means all the people, Muni, all the sages, etc. Now there is this really, really beautiful description of what happens one day, which means they've been living in Chitrakuta for some time, and things have been just going on as regular, as usual. But one day, something happens. So this Tulsidasji does a few times. Ekabar. And here what is pointed out is, in bhakti, people do upasana of different qualities or different attitudes that they associate with Bhagavan. So some people worship Bhagavan as the one who is endowed with all Aishwarya, means all glory. Some people worship Bhagavan as the one who is all-knowing, who has all knowledge. Means people, according to their own disposition, etc., they see Bhagavan in various ways. Some people, they worship with this madhura rasa. Means they worship Bhagavan focusing on madhura rasa, means this bhava or this rasa of sweetness. And this is what Tulsidasji is showing here. He says, Eka bara chuni kusuma suhai. Once, Bhagavan nija kara, with his own hands, he goes to some trees or plants which are nearby the ashram, and he chooses some beautiful flowers. And with his own hands, Bhushana Rama Banaye, Bhagavan makes some ornaments out of those flowers. With these flowers that he's chosen from nearby. And once he's made those ornaments, Setahi Pahiraye Prabhu Sadara, with great respect, with great reverence, respect, and also with great love, he gives them, he doesn't actually give them to Sitaji, he puts them on for Sitaji. Means with some flowers he's made one bracelet, with some flowers he's made one mala, with some flowers he's made something for her hair maybe. And so with his own hands he takes these ornaments and he puts them on Sitaji. So Lakshmanji is not there, he's gone to do some work outside of the ashram. Only Bhagavan and Sitaji are there. And with great gentleness and with great love and affection, he puts these ornaments on Sitaji. And Baithe Bhatika Sila Para Sundara. And then they both sit down on this big stone, like a rock, which is like a Bhatika Shila means Spatika, which is like crystal. So there must be some sort of rocks of this type in that area where they were staying. So they sit down on one that's like a seat. And this, this can be taken in so many different ways. But how it's explained that Bhagavan has, for his devotees, Bhagavan has so much love. And Sitaji in particular, we see when she is separated from Bhagavan, that her mind is only on him. And he is her one ashraya. Okay? He is her one support, her one refuge. And knowing how much she loves him, and knowing that she's left the palace and all comforts and everything just to accompany him, so that she doesn't have to be away from him, knowing how much she loves him, Bhagavan is, with great affection, also displaying his love for her as his devotee. Now, Bhagwan's purpose for staying in the forest and actually even for taking avatar was to go and defeat Ravana. Right? And observing this very domestic scene where Bhagwan is acting like this loving husband who is offering these ornaments to his wife, all the devatas are seeing everything that Bhagwan is doing. Right? And there is one, Surapati Sutta, the son of Indra, who sees this and who thinks this is Bhagwan who is supposed to go and defeat this Ravana. And Ravana is so powerful that he has been subduing and he has been he's conquered all of us devatas. He's making us do so many things which we don't want to do. And this Bhagwan is like some ordinary husband offering ornaments to his wife. How can he be the one who is going to defeat Ravana? So, Dhari Bayasa Besha, he takes the disguise of a crow. And Satha Chahata Raghupati Bala Dekha. This Satha means this foolish, wicked person, the son of Indra. Chahata Raghupati Bala Dekha. He wants to see Bhagwan's strength. He wants to test Bhagwan's strength. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is we'll see later when Bhagwan meets Sugriv. And Sugriv has this request that Bhagwan, you please help me defeat Vali because by myself I can't do it. He has exiled me. He's not allowing me to go back, etc. And Sugriv sees that Bhagwan has come in this particular form of this young prince who looks so soft and who looks so gentle. And he outright says to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, I just want to know if you can defeat Vali. I want to make sure that you will not be defeated, that you have enough strength to win if some battle takes place. And because he says this to Bhagwan, Bhagwan says, okay, fine, tell me what you would like me to do. And he gives him one test and Bhagwan passes with flying colors, right? Because he's testing his strength. Now there, Sugriva asked openly. And because of that, Bhagwan said also, yes, I will do whatever you ask of me because I know that, you want some help for me. So you want to have this trust that I can do what you're asking me to do. Here, this Surapati Sutta, the son of Indra, wants to test Bhagwan. But in order to do so, what has he done? He's taken a disguise. Which means he's not doing it in a straightforward way. This has happened before. You remember where? Particularly because Bhagwan Shiva has just said to Parvati ji that be careful. Not everybody can understand. In Balkand, the story was told of how Lord Shiva and Sati ji were traveling. And how at that time when Sati saw Bhagwan wandering around in the forest and crying that he has lost Sita ji, she took the disguise of Sita to go and test Bhagwan. And as soon as she appeared in front of them, Bhagwan knew exactly this is not Sita, this is Sati. And he spoke to her as such. And then he showed her his real power, his real might. So we know that if somebody tries to test Bhagwan in this kind of way, right, in a way where they're hiding their intentions, and they're not able to come in front of Bhagwan and just ask him clearly, then the outcome is never good. Right? And if you remember, the ultimate outcome of that is Satiji goes to her father's yajna and she finally ends up giving up her body. Right? That whole chain of events started because she wanted to test Bhagavan. Then Lord Shiva said, how can you test my Bhagavan? And then all of this happened. So now the son of Indra has come and he has taken the disguise of a crow because he wants to test Bhagavan's strength. Tulasidas gives an example. He says it's like an ant wants to enter into the ocean to measure the depth of the ocean. Jimi Pilika Sagara Thaha Mahamandamati Pavanachaha. This supremely foolish ant wants to measure the depth of the ocean. What will happen? That ant will drown. Right? And it cannot withstand the power of that ocean. So now what does this person do? And if you notice what is pointed out here, Tulsidas doesn't give his name. He just says the son of Surapati. He doesn't even give Indra's name. He says the Lord of the Devatas, his son. Because what's said is that if somebody does something bad, something wrong, there is no need to keep repeating their name again and again. You shouldn't even take the name of somebody who does such terrible things. What does he do? Sita charana choncha hati bhaga. He goes and with his beak, he pecks at Sitaji's feet. And then he runs, he flies away. This moodha mandamati karana kaga, this dull-witted, foolish person who has taken the disguise of a crow in order to do this. Now Sitaji and Bhagavan are just sitting peacefully. And when this crow comes and does this, Sitaji doesn't say anything. Because they're sitting peacefully and she doesn't want to disturb Bhagavan. Bhagavan comes to know because he looks down and he sees Sitaji's foot is bleeding. Chala rudhira raghunayaka jana. Bhagavan realizes, and immediately what he does, Sika dhanusha sayaka sandhana. He takes one, like a long piece of grass, like a reed, and he fits it to his bow. Now this, he's not, you might think that what is going to happen if Bhagavan shoots a piece of grass from his bow? Tulsidas ji says, Bhagavan atikrapala raghunayaka. Bhagavan is so compassionate. Sada dina paraneha. And he is ever loving towards those who are deen, means those who are the opposite of arrogant, those who are humble before him. Tasana ai kina chala muraka avaguna geha. This fool, he came in front of Bhagavan and he tried to hide himself and to trick Bhagavan. In other words, even though Bhagavan is so compassionate, even though he is always loving to the helpless and the meek and the humble, this son of Indra is not any of those things. He is not displaying any humility. And therefore, Bhagavan knows that, okay, this here has to be taught a lesson. So, now what happens? So we'll read also after doha 1. Prerita mantra brahma saradhava chala dhajipayas bhaya bhava dhari nij rupa gaya upitu pahi Rama bimukha rakhatihi nahi bhani rasa upaji manatrasa jatha chakra bhaya rishi durvasa Brahma dhama siva pura sabaloka Shramita vyakula bhaya suka, kahu बैठन कहा न ओहि, राखे को सकई राम कर द्रोही, मातु मृत्यु पितु समन समाना, सुधा होई विष सुनु हरि जाना, मित्र करई सत रिपु कै करनी, ताकह विबुधन दीबै तरनी, सब जगताहि अनलहु दाता, जो रघुबीर विमुख सुन भ्राता, नारद देखा बिकल जयंता, लागी दया कोमल चित संता, पठवा तुरत राम पहिताहि, कहे सि पुकारि प्रणत हित पाहि, आतुर सभय गहे सि पद जाई, त्राहि त्राहि दयाल रघुराई, अतुलित बल अतुलित प्रभुताई, मैं मति मंद जानि नहीं पाई, निज कृत कर्म जनित फल पायौ, अब प्रभु पाहि शरण तकी आयौ, सुनि कृपाल अति आरत बानी, एक नयन करि तजा भवानी, कीन्ह मोह बस द्रोह, यद्यपि तिहि कर बध उचित, प्रभु छाड्यु करि छोह, को कृपाल रघुवीर सम. So now you see how in Aranyakanda, all the chopais and dohas, the number was regulated, right? Here you will have different numbers everywhere because this is Aranya, the forest. So nothing is straightforward. So now what does Bhagavan do? Prerita mantra Brahma Saradhava. Now Bhagavan, what he does to this reed, which becomes like an arrow, he invokes with some mantra power in that arrow to make it like almost like a brahmastra, right? So in other words, it becomes an extremely powerful weapon, which once released must hit its target. Because also the power that is invoked is the power of Brahma, means the deity Brahma. And therefore, his power also can't go in vain. This example is given later for Hanumanji, how Hanumanji goes straight to the target. He is like an arrow of Śrī Rāma. So Bhagavan releases this arrow, Chala bhaji bayasa bhaya pava, and this crow now sees this, suddenly this weapon is coming towards him, and he flies away immediately in fear. Bhaya pava, now he's scared. And now he's scared and he's looking for someone who can help him. And what we will see is, wherever he goes, everybody realizes that he has committed an error, an offense against Bhagavan, and everybody he goes to will say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So now you see, Dhari Nija Rupa. Now he lets go of that, he gives up that crow disguise. He goes to his father. His father is Indra. Father says, Rama Vimukha Rakha Tihi Nahi. You have insulted Bhagavan, I can't help you. You should go from here. Means that the first person that generally a child will go to is a parent, right? Because any trouble, parents should be able to, in that child's mind, parents are able to help me. Parents will get me out of this. So he goes to his father. Father says, nothing doing. I can't help you. You insulted Bhagavan. You're on your own. Also because against the strength of Bhagavan, which Devata will say, yes, I will stop this arrow from hitting you and I will save you. They all know their strength compared to Bhagavan's is nothing. Their strength comes from Bhagavan. No. Bha nirasa upaji manatrasa jatha chakra bhaya rishi durvasa. Now he's so scared. His mind is now becoming overwhelmed because he thinks, if my father can't help me, who is going to help me? Like Rishi Durvasa. So now this Rishi Durvasa had some, there is one story to do with Ambarish Raja, who was a great devotee of Bhagavan. And Bhagavan's Sudarshan Chakra came after this Rishi Durvasa. So now he feels like this. He feels very scared. So now he thinks, okay, if my father can't help me, then I will go to someone who is greater than my father. So he goes to Brahma. Brahma dhama sivapura savaloka phirashramita vyakula bhaya soka. He goes to Brahma. Brahma says, can't help you. So then he thinks, and he says, all these deities can't help me. Who should I go to? He says, okay, let me go to Lord Shiva, because he should be able to, he is more powerful than all of them. He goes to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva says, no, can't help you. You insulted Bhagavan, nothing. He goes everywhere. Sabaloka, Phira, Shramita, Vyakula, Bhaya, Soka. And everywhere he has to return from, and he is his state, because remember, this weapon, this Brahmastra is behind him all the time, right? But the thing is, it's not catching up to him. And sometimes that's worse, right? If you know something bad is coming, and it's constantly just behind you, it's not quite reaching you, but it's so close. Sometimes you think, okay, I want it to happen, because otherwise you're just living in fear and with this anxiety all the time, and you become so tired. This is his state. Shramita vyakula bhaya suka. Because this weapon is just behind him. And kahu baithana kaha na ohi. Nobody even says that come and sit down at least for some time. I will give you some refuge. Because nobody can. Rakhi ko sakai Rama kare drohi. To that person who has made themselves an enemy of Bhagavan, who can protect that person? So, Matu mrityu pitu samana samana sudha hoi visha sunu hari jana. So now remember, there are 4 conversations going on, right? So now Kakabu Shundi is telling Garuda. Harijana means Haryana, the vehicle of Hari, Garuda. He's telling, oh Garuda, a mother is like death, and a father becomes like Yama, means the god of death. Nectar becomes like poison. Mitra karai sata ripu ke karani. And a friend becomes as hostile as 100 enemies. Ta kaha bibudha nadi bay tarani. And the holy river Ganga becomes like Vaitarani Nadi. This Vaitarani Nadi is said to be this terrible river full of all awful things like bones and blood and horrible things. Ganga becomes like that Vaitarani Nadi. Saba jagatahi analahute tata. The whole world becomes like fire, anala. Jo raghubira vimukha sunu bhrata. To that person who has turned away from Bhagavan, mother, father, they, both of them become like death. Means mother and father who have given life, they become like death. nectar becomes like poison. In other words, all those things which should bring joy and protection and which should give comfort and solace, which bring purity, like Gangaji, nothing can help someone who is turned away from Bhagavan. And this we should always remember. That for us, you forget everyone else. Don't start thinking of other people here. For us, as whether you say seekers or devotees, the most important thing in our life is to keep ourselves connected to Bhagavan in the right way and to never turn away from him. Because if we do turn away from him, there is nothing that will give us the solace that we are looking for. Now, very important part comes in this journey of this Indra's son. Everyone has turned him away, right? Everyone has said, I cannot help you. You need to go. Narada dekha bikala jayanta. Now only Tulasidas gives his name. What is the name? Jayanta. Why is he giving his name? That also we should see, right? Narada sees this Jayanta, Narad Muni. Lagi daya komala chita santa. And he feels great compassion for this Jayanta. Why? Komala chita santa. Because the mind of or the heart of a saint is so komala. Later what is said, Santa Hridaya Navanita Samana, that the heart of a saint, of a sant, is like Navanita, it's like butter. And in fact, he says it's even softer than butter there. Because when you apply heat to butter, it melts. But to melt a saint's heart, you don't need any heat. The saint sees the suffering of another, and his heart melts in compassion. Once we come into contact with a saint, then this is where our life turns around. Right? Everybody has said no to Jayant. Now Naradji sees him, and now everything turns around. Because what does Naradji do? Pathava turata Rama pahitahi. Immediately, he sends him to Bhagavan. In other words, he says, you're looking around everywhere. You need to go back to Bhagavan, whom you have insulted and whom you have offended in this way. You need to go back to him. There is one beautiful shloka. You know, at the end of puja, there is a prarthana, right? Where you say, Avahanam na janami, etc. That Bhagavan, please forgive me if I've done anything wrong in this puja. There is one beautiful shloka that is often said. Bhumo skhalita padanam bhumireva valambanam. For those whose feet slip on the earth. In other words, if you slip and you fall on the earth, bhumireva valambanam. How will you get up from where you've fallen? You have to take the support of the earth and you have to get up. Right? You have to lean on the ground and get up. You have fallen because you slipped on the earth. But you have to take the support of the earth and get up. So there what is said, Parijataparadhanam tvameva sharanam mama. All my aparadha, all the mistakes that I made, they have been committed in you, only Bhagavan. This whole universe is nothing but Bhagavan. And therefore, tvameva sharanam mama, you alone are my refuge. This is what is being demonstrated here. You can look for refuge everywhere. You will not find it until you go back to Bhagavan. This Sharanagati has to take place. And when will it take place? When we have a saint, or when we have a guru in our life who turns us towards Bhagavan. Right? This is why when Kabir Das Ji says, I will bow down to my guru first, because guru is the one who has turned me towards Bhagavan. And guru is guaranteed to be at the feet of Bhagavan themselves. So Naraji sends him and he says, Kahesi pukari pranata hita pahi. Now this Jayanta calls out to Bhagavan and he says, O Bhagavan, pranata hita pahi. You are the protector of those who bow down to you. Pahi, please protect me. Atura sabhaya gahesi pada jayi. And this Jayant, who is so atura, means he's so troubled. And he is so terrified, he goes to Bhagavan's feet and he says, Trahi trahi dayala raghurai. Oh Bhagavan, you are so compassionate. Please protect me. Atil, and you are capable of protecting me, I know. Why? Atulita bala. Your strength is unsurpassed. Atulita prabhutai, your lordship, your rulership is unsurpassed. Main mati manda jani nahi pai. I am so foolish and I could not understand you. I could not understand your greatness and your glory. Nija krita karma janita phala payam. I received the result of my own karma. My own karma has done this. Aba prabhu pahi sarana taki ayav. Now Bhagavan, please protect me. I have come to your sharana. Means I have come to take refuge in you. This is our only option, really speaking. In bhakti, see, either you say, I'm responsible and I will solve everything because Bhagavan has given me responsibility in my own life. Or you say, Bhagavan, I am nothing. You are everything. Now you please just take charge and I'm fully surrendered to you. I will accept whatever happens. He says, now Bhagavan, please protect me. And Suni Kripala Ati Arata Bani, Bhagavan, who is so compassionate, he hears these words. And what does he do? That arrow has to meet its target, right? Like we saw. But Eka Nayana Kari Taja Bhavani, he lets him go with only the loss of one eye. That weapon which could have destroyed him entirely, Bhagavan allows him to go only with one eye being lost. So what is said here, one interpretation that is given is, with two eyes we have the vision of duality. With one eye we see non-duality. So Bhagavan gives him this prasad. Means he gives him moksha. The Advaita vision means he is liberated. Now, Kinha Moha Basadroha, even though out of delusion this Jayanta had done wrong against Bhagavan, Bhagavan deserved, this Jayanta deserved to die. Tehi kara badha uchita, even though he was supposed to die. Prabhu chhadeu kari choha. Bhagavan gave him instead so much love, compassion, and he let him go. Now Tulasidas Ji says, Ko kripala raghuvira sama. Who is as compassionate as Śrī Rāma? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om.